Hey everybody, welcome back. Joe Gambino here. We're going to be going over a little shoulder mobility work specifically for the scapula. We don't always think about the scapula as being something that needs to have mobility to it. We always think about it more from a stability perspective because we want the shoulder blade to be a stable base for our arm to move around. But what we do need is also that scapula to move around. Elevation, depression, upper rotation, retraction, protraction, all of these things, right? So putting a little bit of work into these positions can keep things moving better, feeling better, and especially if we're limited, can help us regain some shoulder function. So if you guys are enjoying the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, but we'll jump kind of right into shoulder elevation PAILs rails, okay? And what we're going to do here is seated position, whatever's comfortable for you, and then we're going to lean back into our hands, and we're not going to have a lot of shoulder extension, just a little bit of shoulder extension, so maybe a couple inches away from my hips, and they're just going to be a little bit wider than my hip width, right? So my hands are going to just be a little bit wider than my hip width. Now, the one thing that may be a little bit challenging for some people is the actual feeling of getting scapular elevation. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of slouch in. We're going to kind of lean our body into, and we're going to let our shoulders shrug up. And now once we're in this position, we can start our PAILs rails contraction. What PAILs rails are, they are different types of isometric contraction we're going to do. So the first one is the PAILs contraction. That is an isometric contraction. Isometric being that the joints don't move, but we engage the muscles. For the progressive tissue or the tissue on stretch, so we have, in this case, shorten the upper traps, right? Because we're bringing into a position where we're elevating the shoulder, and then everything kind of down below it, all the tissue on the opposite side is what's going to be the progressive tissue, right? So in order for me to engage those muscles, right, I'm going to push my hands into the ground, but I'm going to think that my shoulders are trying to depress, right? So I'm doing the opposite of the original movement that I intended. That's the progressive tissue. We're going to create an isometric contraction there. We're going to hold that isometric contraction for 10 seconds, and then we're going to follow it up with the rails contraction, which will be trying to shrug even more. So you may find that you can kind of sink into it more, but this isn't a passive movement, right? We want to create that isometric muscle contraction, so while I sink into it, I'm trying very hard to squeeze these muscles, the upper traps, trying to elevate my shoulder even more. Okay, so take a second to think about that. Because things don't move, it can be a little bit of almost seem like an abstract concept, but the first movement is going to be shoulder blades away from the ear. The second movement is going to be shoulder blades up and elevated, and we're going to go back and forth for 3 rounds with that component. Okay, so set up just as we talked about, using my shoulder blades to push my hands into the ground once we have that shrugged position set up. So I'm going to start to drive down 20% of the hardest I can. We're going to slowly add pressure to this. Add a little bit more to our 40%, add a little bit more to our 60%, a little more to our 80%, and then ramp it up as hard as we can without pain, trying to use my shoulder blades to push my hands through the floor. And we hold this for 10 seconds. We'll call that about 5 seconds so far since I talk a lot. And then 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I'm going to shrug. So actively trying to shrug. Should feel like I'm sinking into those shoulders more. 10-second hold as well. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay in this position, but relax all of your muscles. We're going to go again for a second round. So we're going to push through the ground 20%, to 40, to 60, to 80, to 100%. Hold it here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then shrug. actively trying to do it, engaging those upper traps. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Stay in the position here. If you have to come out of it because of numbness, tingling, because of pain or discomfort, you can, but the idea will be able to tolerate this position over time for the full 3 rounds. So we got 1 more to go. Pushing down, 20 to 40 to 60, 80 to 100%. Hold here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then shrug. Shrug as hard as we can, try to make those upper traps cramp. We have about 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. All right, so there you guys have shoulder elevation PAILs rails. Another thing that we can kind of test before we do them is almost a pre-test, post-test, so just kind of keep this in mind. If you were to shrug up and down prior to starting this drill, you can then do it again afterwards and see, does it feel like it moves more, either more range of motion, more smoothly? Do your shoulders feel better? How did it feel before versus after? That self-assessment tool, our thought process is going to be very beneficial when working on mobility to see if what we're doing is actually making the improvement that we want. All right, guys, so if you enjoyed this video, remember, like it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next week.